Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Parcel, or iUpad, and today I'm bringing you guys a brand new Hypixel Skyblock video. So in today's video, we're going to be discussing the brand new sword called the Dark Claymore. Now this sword is actually a brand new drop from M7, and it costs 50 million coins in a chest, and from what we could see right now, it's not extremely rare, but also it's definitely not common either. So in today's video, we're going to be testing it out and also comparing it to the giant sword, which is a very similar sword. But before we start, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really does help me out. And also make sure to go join my Discord server down in the description below, as we do giveaways in there quite often. Anyways, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Alright guys, so a very nice man by the name of _darks is actually letting me borrow his stuff, and I'm just collateralizing him with my term, but he's actually giving me the Dark Claymore and also a giant sword that are about similar. So boom, he accepted the trade. That's pretty sick. But before we actually do that, just because this guy's super nice and because I want the test to be more accurate, I'm actually going to throw some tier 6 enchants onto the sword. Okay, so tier 6 enchants are actually extremely expensive right now, but I mean, whatever. I'm just going to go for it. 20 million coins. I'm poor now. Alright, and let's just go ahead and apply it right now. This should make it a lot better. There we go. So now let's actually see what we're working with here. Okay, so we got ourselves a fabled Dark Claymore and then a fabled giant sword. Now you actually can't put gemstones on this sword, and you can put gemstones on this sword. The difference between these is also this one's obviously one for all and has an art of war, while this one doesn't have an art of war, and you can't actually put one for all on this. So the only ultimate enchant that you can actually put on the Dark Claymore is combo 5. I'm not too sure why it works like that, but it is how it is. Alright, so first off, I've actually headed over to the hub, and we're just gonna head over to the zombies now and do a quick test. So I know that these aren't fully maxed, but they're about even. This one has one for all, and then this one has tier 6 enchants. So I know it's kind of a weird, unfair comparison, but I hope this works for you guys. Okay, so I'm just gonna use 3/4 Necron with a Warden helmet, and this is kind of the setup that we're working with here. And then I'm also going to use my Ender Dragon pet just for the most damage. Okay, so first let's start off with the giant sword we all know and love. So we're doing about 1 million damage with the one for all giant sword. Now if we swap over to the Dark Claymore and test this out, we're actually doing a lot less damage, 730k. Also, let's actually test the range of the Claymore, because as you guys know, it has a swing range of 5. I obviously can't hit the zombie from here with the giant sword. I also can't hit it with the Claymore. From this block, I still can't hit it. And I can actually hit it with the Claymore, so you guys can see that little bit of a block difference. As you guys can see, it's definitely a little bit more of an unnatural reach. Like, I can kind of hit zombies from, like, a little bit further away. Okay, so now let's actually do some tests on a different range of mobs. So first, let's just start off with Enderman. Alright, so we go over here with the giant sword, and we have the Ender Dragon pet on. We're doing about 1.5 million, 1.6 million damage to the Enderman. And now if we try the Dark Claymore, we're doing 1.3, 1.2 million. So as you can see, the Claymore is getting outclassed. However, this giant sword is one for all, and this Claymore isn't. Now another extremely appropriate thing to test this on is actually Slayers, because obviously Slayers require DPS, which this will probably be better for than this, as this is one for all and this is enchanted. Also, just to quickly actually compare the damage, the giant sword is doing about 1.1 million damage, and the Claymore is doing about 725k. Alright, so the boss just spawned, and first we're going to use the giant sword and see how we do. So it took us about 4.8 seconds, and I couldn't actually pinpoint the damage, so I'm just going to do another one with the giant sword. Alright, so just to see how much damage we're actually doing with the giant sword, we're doing about 1 million damage. So now that you've seen our time with the giant sword and also our damage with the giant sword, now let's do the same thing for the Claymore. Alright, so we're about to go ahead and spawn the boss and just test it with the Claymore. Wow, what the hell? I actually died. How bad is this sword? Alright, so we're about to go spawn the boss in, and let's just try our hardest to kill this as fast as possible first. Wow, so as you could see, that boss took 7.2 seconds, about almost double as long as the giant sword took. I don't even need to test the actual exact damage against the ref to know that this sword is far worse performing than this sword. Okay, so now we're actually going to go ahead and compare the Enchanted Claymore to the OFA Giant Sword in Dungeons. So personally, I'm just gonna go into M5 and try this because it's kind of my floor of choice. It's not too hard, but it's not too easy. Now, obviously, we're gonna try this as a mage, so let's just see how it goes. So first of all, my storm isn't exactly optimized for mage damage, but we'll do our best. Also, this is storm, not maxer. It's just died. All right, so all my particles are on. First, the giant sword. All right, so as you could tell, we're dealing quite inconsistent damage, but it's somewhere around 140 to 130 mil. Again, I'm using the Ender Dragon pet for this test, but the damage is a little bit everywhere, but you can kind of see the basis. And now we're going to test the Dark Claymore. So as you could tell, again, this does just a little bit less damage. But again, keep in mind that this also isn't one for all. Now I can go on and on and on and test this with every little mob in the game, but at the end of the day, the results will not change. The Dark Claymore is getting severely outclassed by a sword that is simply 120 million coins, whilst this sword is 670 million coins. So it's pretty obvious to me that the Giant Sword is a lot better than Dark Claymore, and honestly, the Dark Claymore doesn't have a use right now. It's outclassed in dungeons by the OFA Giant Sword, and it is also outclassed outside of dungeons by the OFA Giant Sword. Now, if you're comparing it to an enchanted giant sword, it might be better, but there's no reason to use an enchanted giant sword when an OFA one is simply better. So at the end of the day, there is really no purpose of spending almost 700 million coins on this weapon when you can only spend 130 million tops and get a better weapon. Now, I actually think that they will be adding something to the Dark Claymore, and in my opinion, I think they might add an upgraded version, because it just really doesn't make sense to me right now that this is the most expensive dungeon drop from a chest, and also pretty rare and only obtainable from M7, and yet it's this bad. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, as it really helps me out. I hope this video kind of gave you guys some insight on kind of how this new weapon is like, and if it's actually worth the price tag. And yeah, anyway, I'll see you guys later, and yeah, peace.